This is the northern Dutch city of Groningen, and for decades the center has been divided up to prevent anybody from driving through. But it's actually one of the key features that has led the city to being named the world's cycling capital. Today, I'm headed to Leeuwarden, starting my day in Groningen, an old fortress city in the capital of the Dutch province of the same name. Today, it is a university town with a lovely walkable city center and is known as the City of Bicycles, some even calling it the bicycle capital of the world, which isn't surprising as it boasts a cycling modal share of over 60%. That's ridiculous. And one of the features that has helped shape the Groningen of today was the traffic circulation plan. Introduced in the 1970s, the plan was a bold rethinking of how Groningen's city center should work, reorganizing traffic in a way that shifted priority away from cars and towards people. It was relatively simple. The city center was to be divided up into 4 sectors. Cars could enter a sector but couldn't drive directly from one to another. If someone wanted to cross the city by car, they had to go back out to the ring road, essentially eliminating through traffic. At the same time, pedestrians and cyclists weren't restricted. They could move freely between sectors, gaining more space and safety as cars were pushed out. This meant the heart of Groningen was no longer just a shortcut for drivers, but a place designed for people to live, shop, and even just hang out. And while Groningen isn't unique in having such a feature, you can see this in many Dutch cities. I even covered it briefly in my last series when I visited Houten. I do recommend trying this on Google Maps, it's actually pretty fun. But what makes Groningen special is that it was the first to implement it, and the story hits some familiar notes. In the 1960s and 70s, Groningen faced the same problem as so many cities. Streets were becoming clogged with through traffic, noise, and pollution. But that was destined to change once 24-year-old Max van den Berg was elected to city council. His answer was the traffic circulation plan. And the reaction was explosive. Shopkeepers feared the end of their businesses. Drivers predicted a traffic apocalypse. Shop owners painted their windows in protest. Demonstrations were organized, and some politicians who supported the plan even received threats bad enough to require police escorts. The backlash was intense, but Max and his fellow aldermen trudged on. And one night in September of 1977, the plan was introduced. The people of Groningen woke up to a city center with new signs and traffic diverters, police handing out pamphlets on the new circulation plan, and even greeters handing out flowers to drivers. It was a bit chaotic at first, but as the months passed, fears of economic collapse and traffic disaster proved unfounded. Businesses adapted, the streets became quieter and more welcoming, and people quickly discovered that life without cars dominating the center was not only possible, it was better. And today, it's hard to imagine Groningen without these changes. Of course, it's not without its detractors even today. Some arguing that removing traffic filters and allowing drivers to cut through everywhere would make driving easier and reduce congestion. On the surface, it sounds logical. If every road is open, cars have more options and traffic spreads out. But 2 things. First, this is fundamentally at odds with the purpose of modal filters in the traffic circulation plan. These measures are designed to prevent neighborhoods from being overrun by through traffic and, most importantly, prioritize safer, calmer streets for people walking, cycling, and living there. And second, if you were to remove the filters, traffic would quickly return and even grow beyond its original levels. Drivers naturally seek the fastest route, and what starts out as a shortcut becomes a clogged artery. Very soon, the apparent short-term gains of easier access dissolves into the same old gridlock, with travel times rivaling the circuitous routes that previously afforded better places for people to cycle and walk instead of drive. It's basically a more complex, one more lane borough. This story is a reminder that making change is never easy. In the 1970s, Dutch cities faced the same resistance we hear now in North America whenever a bike lane or traffic calming measure is proposed. Groningen shows us that while the transition can be messy and unpopular at first, bold choices can create places that thrive for decades to come. And of course, the city didn't stop with the circulation plan. They've continued to innovate with rain sensors that give cyclists a jump at intersections, heated cycle paths for when it gets frosty, and similar treatments to streets that you may recognize if you've been to other cities in the Netherlands. And to explore some of these unique features, I was fortunate to be guided by Cor Van Der Klaauw, a recently retired transportation planner. Cor began his career in Groningen in the late 1970s, just as the city was rolling out its pioneering traffic circulation plan. Over the course of his career, he primarily worked for the municipality of Groningen, but also contributed his expertise to the Dutch railways and later taught urban planning, spatial development, and transportation at the Applied University in Leeuwarden. And even in retirement, his passion for the city is strong. There is a saying that no one has ever said, which is, you can tell a lot about a man by his coat rack. And I can't think of anything more transportation and planning passion than a literal bus stop sign taking that place. We set off through the rainy streets, and Cor let me know that it wasn't going to be too busy due to the fact that it was a holiday, making it more or less a long weekend, with the large student population often leaving town. But that afforded us space on the streets to ride two abreast for most of our time together. And the first thing we came across was a brand new example of the urban transformation that continues to this day in Groningen.
So we used to have the highway just on a viaduct. It was built in the 1960s, but now they put it underneath and it's done very, very well. But now we made a park over here. This is a combined cycle path and for pedestrians, so a kind of shared space. It's quite nice how they have made the layout of it. And what you see is in the lunchtime, all the people working in this big office are going and walking around, and you have little seats where you can sit down.
Enjoying the space.
Yes, enjoying the space, that's the word. And the trees over here and the trees over there were old because it used to be, before they make this motorway, it was a park. Right. But in the 1960s they just cut all the trees and made the motorway around.
This is the only evidence of what once stood here.
You will see a part of the old viaduct which is over there.
Is that what that is?
Yeah, that's how it was. And now they make a basketball field. They've made it very, very nice with the green area. But as you can imagine, all these houses were very close to the viaduct.
Not very pleasant.
No.
A big change.
Yeah.
It's really hard not to be wowed when you take a look back in time on Google Street View in this very spot. People whose homes looked out to the side of a busy highway viaduct now can look out on a vast park. We continued on towards the city center, where we saw the first example of the diverters that were implemented in the traffic circulation plan.
And here you can see one of the elements of the traffic circulation plan, because in the early days cars could go through, but you can see the cars have to make a turn around.
These can be easy to miss when you're on a bicycle, as the flow is just so seamless. The flow that may seem surprising, especially at these intersections. This is an intersection with all ways green for bikes. Navigating these bike scrambles feels a lot like what we might imagine a future with autonomous cars would be, where traffic signals might not even be necessary because everything flows seamlessly together. But the truth is, people are already doing that. You see it when you walk on the sidewalk, and the same thing happens here on bicycles. People coordinate with body language and eye contact, making surprisingly smooth passage and on their way. But it's not without its critics. Mark Wagenboer of Bicycle Dutch has written about them on occasion, arguing that all green phases for cyclists feel chaotic and rushed. The short green times make it hard to ride smoothly since cyclists often end up waiting at red lights, which means you won't find a green wave as frequently as in other cities. And while the system avoids two-stage left turns, that benefit is outweighed by the constant stops and lack of protection, which I can see. It certainly takes a few attempts to feel at ease. It wasn't the busiest. There was only one moment I saw conflict, and the slow speeds of a bicycle, it resulted in a mild inconvenience and a look, not a crash. But I'm sure on the busiest of days, it can get quite a bit more hectic.
And here you can see underneath the traffic light that's for direction green, but when you go to the right, you can go free. Rechtsafvrij voor fietsers.
There are also a few quirky features unique to Groningen. One example is the traffic light countdown to green. Not specific to the region, but they stray away from the typical circular lights, opting for something a bit more linear. And the bicycle symbol itself, not just a local design for the sake of being different, it's actually made up of the Groningen area code, 050. As we ventured into the city center, one of the first things that stands out compared to most Dutch cities is the paving. Instead of the familiar red brick, The streets here are covered with distinctive yellow pavers, a design choice from the early 1990s intended to give the city its own identity.
Well, this is a street for cyclists and pedestrians, and I thought till 11 in the morning you can go by car over here.
This is a great thing to note. Cars and delivery trucks are not banished from the city center. Businesses can still get deliveries.
Well, now we're right into the center, and we'll go over there also, because there you see the Martini Tower, which is the main church. And the building over there, behind the crane, that's what we call it Forum. It's really great. And this used to be the corn market, but now it's a supermarket.
This is the Fish Market Square, a space that was once dominated by car lanes and parking, and while empty right now, the next morning it hosted a bustling market. We explored a few of the underground parking lots, one of which was under the Forum, as Cor mentioned, a striking geometric monolith of a building that acts as a modern city community center. On the ground floor was a wooden diorama of the city, and as you go up the floors via the escalators, you can see how well used the space is. The cafe, library, cinema, restaurant, and since this part of the city is a no-fly zone for drones, the rooftop was a great place to view the city from above. And another note about parking a bicycle, they offer such convenient and free spots for a reason.
This car from the municipality is collecting the bikes which are where it's not allowed to park, because the maintenance is very, very important. If you don't, it will be a mess everywhere.
And the solution there is to offer very convenient parking, right?
That's the thing. We've got very good parking facilities. Wat staat er nou precies op de dingen? Dat jullie ze ook weghalen?
Het is een waarschuwing.
Waarschuwing?
Binnen 15 minuten, als ze niet worden verwijderd, dan verwijderen wij.
Within 15 minutes they will take them away.
And you have to pay.
Yes.
Yeah.
15 euro?
25 euros.
25 euro we have to pay. They will bring them to the Damster Diep.
But the first 84 hours is for free. And then you have to pay 25 euros. Fijne dag.
Dankjewel.
Have a nice day.
Yo. Well, that's nice, Nick. You see how it works. So within 15 minutes they will take them away. And they put them in this car, yes. And there's the end of the zone. So you would see what happened. From here onwards, they will park the bikes. This is the sign.
As we made our way northeast through the city, I asked Cor, who's lived here since the traffic circulation plan was first introduced, what he thought of its overall impact.
Well, I think it's a much more livable city with more attention for pedestrians and cyclists. I think also the shop owners are very happy because they get much more people around. It's a nice city. People will come here. They like the town with all the little shops and the cafes and go out and all the young people. So never a dull moment over here. Yeah. There's always something happening.
We passed by the Noorderplantsoen, Northern Park, a linear green space that used to be split up by a busy road, but was close to car traffic in the 90s and now hosts a much more pleasant experience for the ears.
Well, this is the canal, but there used to be a bridge. You can see the rest of it from there to there, a swing bridge. But what happened was that there was a ship and that one that didn't see the bridge which was closed. So they hit the bridge in such a way demolished that they couldn't repair it. Now there will be a new bridge, but this is a temporary one, but it's done quite well. Because now you can cycle the whole way, you don't have to get up. Yeah, you don't have to wait for the ships because they can't, they can open it, but they never do.
From here, you can see an example of how different modes of transportation are separated. We were, of course, on the pedestrian and cycling bridges. To the northwest was a crossing for cars and trains, and in the opposite direction, one for buses. On our way back to the city center, we spotted one last piece of transformation. This bakery and cafe, which wasn't always the case. Just a few short years ago, this was a gas station, right on the canal. Who doesn't want this to happen in their cities? It's simply fantastic.
And this is from a famous Dutch sculpture maker, which I think is excellent. Learning cycling, yes, great, isn't it?
Perfect timing too.
I've made some presentation and I always take this picture in it. because it's such a nice picture. Great, isn't it?
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
I love this sculpture because it captures the reason, like the motivation that got me into the topic of urbanism, to have communities where we can freely send our children off to explore. Finally, I asked Cor if he had any final words for the folks watching at home.
Try to continue the policy of making towns friendly for cyclists and pedestrians and for public transport as well. Look after the climate change, make a combination of especially compact city, town planning, traffic policy, so that people will be happy to live in the town where they live, and to be a kind of an ambassador of the town where they live, to hopefully that other towns could take over some parts of it, hopefully also the ideas.
Right. Beautiful.
Okay.
Beautiful. That is some wisdom to live by. Set an example for your neighbors and be the change in the community that you want to see. Soaked in rain, we parted ways, and I have to say thank you very much to Cor for the tour. It was an education. But on my way to Leeuwarden, I went. A city that Cor says it's much nicer than Groningen. I was looking forward to a 65-kilometer journey that should take me just over 3 hours.
The problem today is that now I've got the headwind. Yeah, you can probably see.
In stark contrast to the previous day, I was in for a full-on Dutch hill experience.
All right, so here I'm at like 80 to 90% battery. I got 56 kilometers to go to Leeuwarden, so I'm gonna turn up to blue. Got a headwind on me. Just gonna see what happens. This is crazy. No, I feel like I'm not moving. Jesus. Just having these trees here makes such a huge difference. Like, look at this. Here it comes. Boom.
About a third of the way in, I made a pit stop at Verkeerscirculatieplan for one of my new favorite snacks before taking a detour away from the highway in hopes of avoiding that wind, which was moot, but at least there was better things to look at.
Even on the e-bike, I can barely move. Despite that, ladies and gentlemen, I am now leaving the province of Groningen and entering the province of Friesland, marking the last of the provinces in the Netherlands to visit. I did it. Been to them all. Here we are.
While I did knock off all the provinces, I still had more to explore in the rest of Friesland and parts of North Holland I had never seen. But for now, I would trudge along the fields of Friesland, hoping my battery would keep up. "13 more kilometers, and the thing is, I am almost out of battery. I've been on one bar for at least 7 or 8K now. Will I make it? I'm gonna make it, but will I have battery when I get there? I'm gonna guess no. Let's find out.
Now I get relief from this wind. Holy shit, finally. Holy. Oh. Well, 3 kilometers to go. It's red. It's red, but it's still here.
There it goes. Feel the power leave. All right, well, 2.5 kilometers to go. I can do that.
I'm in town. I'm headed back into the wind. And yeah, I don't think I could push this bike for very long in the wind without assistance. I'm already pretty gassed.
And here I was reminded of what Mark, aka Bicycle Dutch, told me during day 4 of this trip.
Yeah, the hills or the wind, I don't know what's worse. I think the wind's worse.
I think so.
It's always in your face.
After 4 hours, I finally made it to my destination, which was a hotel called Alibi, located inside an old prison complex. I was keen to drop off my things and explore the city, but I hit a bit of a snag.
This is my room. It's crazy. Oh, sweet. I'll be stuck in here forever. It's actual prison. It's a big gag. Here we are.
There's no handle.
But we have had a long time with lovely weather, with a lot of sun and dry, I think for more than a month. So to be honest, a lot of people are happy that it's raining now.